Everyone talks about trust in organizations. We need to build trust. Trust is broken. If only we had more trust. But here's what most leaders miss. Trust isn't a thing you can measure directly. When you ask employees, do you trust leadership? You get socially desirable answers that really tell you nothing useful. Trust is actually the outcome of six different belief systems working together. And until you understand what those six belief systems are, you can't diagnose why trust is broken or figure out how to fix it. I'm Alexandra Norris. Let me show you what trust is actually made of. Here's what happens in most organizations. An executive senses that trust is low. Maybe engagement scores are down, maybe the best people are leaving, maybe execution is slower than it should be, maybe they're not finding out about problems until it's too late. So they do a survey and they ask, on a scale of 1 to 5, how much do you trust leadership? And employees think, well, my boss might see this, HR definitely will. What do they mean when they say leadership? I should probably say 3, maybe 4. You kind of get useless data. You can't act on it and trust stays broken. The problem isn't the employees. The problem is treating trust like a single thing that you can ask about directly. Trust is actually a pattern. It's what emerges when 6 specific belief systems are healthy. And when those belief systems are broken, trust is impossible. So let me walk you through all 6. Think of trust like weather. You don't measure weather directly. You think about temperature, humidity, barometric pressure, wind speed, cloud cover. Weather is the pattern that those measurements create together. And trust works the same way. You measure 6 belief systems, and trust is the pattern that they create together. 3 of them explain how trust gets broken. The first is predictability. The question that employees are asking, can I trust that what they say will actually happen? When leadership announces a change and it actually happens, trust builds. When they announce changes that never materialize or priorities shift every quarter, employees learn, I can't trust what they say will happen. When leadership declares values, but then they're not protected or violations are allowed to keep happening, employees can't trust what the leaders are saying. This is why follow through matters more than communication about the strategy, about the goals. Employees don't remember what you said. They remember whether it happened. Number 2 is leadership credibility. The question is, can I trust that leadership tells the truth and does what they say? When different executives tell the same story, trust builds. But when the CFO says one thing and the COO says another, employees learn, I can't trust their words. When leadership spends time and money on what they say matters, trust builds. When they say people are our greatest asset, but cut development budgets first, employees learn, I can't trust that their actions match their words. Credibility isn't about charisma. It's about consistency between words and actions. Number 3, culture alignment. The question employees are asking here is, can I trust that the official story matches reality? When what managers teach matches what executives say, trust builds. When the stated values show up in actual decisions, trust builds. When the formal culture matches the informal culture, trust builds. When they don't match, though, employees learn, I can't trust the official story. There's a real set of rules going on here that nobody is talking about. Now, here's what broken trust costs you. When those 3 belief systems are broken, it shows up in 3 measurable consequences or outcomes. And these are the other 3 of the 6 belief systems. So number 4 is this: relational security disappears. Now, some people will call this psychological safety, but I prefer to ask the question, does honesty feel survivable here? Because that's the calculation, the mental math that your employees are doing before every conversation with someone who has power over their career. When I don't know how you'll show up, how you'll react, when I'm uncertain how you will use your positional power in our relationship, I start to censor myself. It's not emotionally safe for me to say what I actually think, so I don't. Now, you might think you have a people won't speak up problem. You actually have a trust problem showing up as silence. Number 4, commitment collapses. When employees can't trust the organization, they detach. They quit and leave, or they quit and stay. Your best people are one recruiter call away from gone. The rest show up physically, but they're checked out mentally. They do their job, but they're not invested in your success. And research shows 3 types of commitment: affective, I want to be here; continuance, I have to stay; and normative, I should stay. Only affective commitment drives discretionary effort. Broken trust converts I want to be here into I'm trapped here. And that brings us to belief system number 6, the outcome number 6, discretionary effort disappears. When employees can't trust the organization, they conclude, why would I give more than required? You get compliance, not excellence. People do what's required, not what's possible. They protect their energy instead of investing it. You might think you have a people aren't engaged problem, but you actually have a trust problem showing up as minimal effort. So here's what makes this framework so powerful. When you see low scores in predictability, credibility, and cultural alignment, and you see low scores in relational security, commitment, and discretionary effort, you know trust is fundamentally broken. But now you know where it's broken. This is why the integrated performance diagnostic doesn't ask, do you trust leadership directly? Instead, it measures each of these 6 belief systems separately through specific observable patterns. Is the problem that leadership doesn't follow through on commitments? That's predictability. Is the problem that different executives tell different stories? That's credibility. Is the problem that the stated values don't match actual decisions? That's culture alignment. Your engagement survey can't tell you this. It asks about satisfaction. It doesn't diagnose where trust broke, when trust broke, and why. Each belief system requires a different intervention. And you have to fix the sources of broken trust before the consequences, the outcomes, will improve. You can't fix relational security directly if predictability is broken. People won't feel safe being honest until they see leadership actually do what they say. You can't fix commitment directly if credibility is broken. People won't invest emotionally until they see leaders' words match their actions. And you can't fix discretionary effort directly if culture alignment is broken. People won't contribute fully until they trust the official story. 2 more things leaders need to understand about trust. First, you may have inherited broken trust. Even if you're new to this team, you inherited the trust debt. Employees' beliefs were formed by years of observation under previous leadership. Their skepticism is evidence-based. Your job isn't to defend the past. It's to create new patterns they can observe for the next 12 to 18 months. You can't fix this by asking them to just trust us now. They need new patterns to observe. And second, once trust is broken, people interpret everything through that lens. This comes from Karl Weick's research on sensemaking. When employees don't trust leadership, they fill ambiguity with negative assumptions. Every unclear communication gets interpreted as a hidden agenda. Every delayed decision looks like incompetence or politics. Right now, your employees might be making sense of ambiguity by assuming the worst. You need to make patterns so clear that there's no room for negative interpretation. Trust breaks fast and rebuilds slow. One visible broken promise can damage trust that took years to build. But rebuilding trust requires consistent new patterns. Over 12 to 18 months, you would even see positive changes in the first quarter. Why so long, though, for it to lock in? Well, because belief systems are formed through observation. Employees watched patterns for years that taught them not to trust. They need to watch new patterns for months before their predictions update. And they will pressure test. The first 6 months of trust rebuilding, you're just stopping the decline. Real improvement, locked-in improvement, comes after employees have observed enough consistent behavior to believe it's the new normal, not a temporary initiative. Trust was broken through inconsistent behavior over time. It only gets rebuilt through consistent behavior over time. There's no shortcut. So the next time someone says, we need to build trust, ask a better question. Which of the 6 belief systems is broken, and what observable patterns broke it? That's where the real work begins.